Hey, my name is ShawNshawN. I sell art on ShawNshawN.co and especially on eBay. Today we're going to review or react to Lisa Lachri. So let's go check it out. So one thing I like in general, which I think she does extremely well, is she has great thumbnails. So if you look at the screen here, you'll see, she has her name, Lachri, and show a picture of herself next to the artist or what she's reviewing. Sometimes she doesn't have a picture of herself, so not as strong, but you get a point what she's actually drawing. So she's always putting her brand. I've copied the same model in my own, and so from a standpoint there, I would think that's a very strong model. So let's see if we can find a product review.
Hi, I'm Lisa, the artist behind Lachri Fine Art. Today we are going to be taking a look at two wax-based pencils, Prismacolor Premier and the Luminance pencils by Carandosh. Starting off with the Prismacolor Premier, these pencils I started using about 20 years ago. Back then they were actually made very well. The company had built a very good reputation for itself on these pencils. They have a large color range which are super smooth to blend with. These are an easy pencil to find here in the US. Actually, they're pretty much the only colored pencil that you're going to find in most art stores. They're also one of the most inexpensive.
So you can see here she talks really fast, which is great. She gets a lot of information across, but you definitely got to be on your game. You might want to actually slow it down. You can actually slow the speed down in YouTube if you want to kind of take in that information a little slower. She's talking about the pencils. She's done quite a few different product reviews, so let's go check out more down the line here.
Guys, but when I am working on a project, I can't sit around waiting for replacement pencils on a defective product. If you are using Prismas, there are a few things that you can do to avoid the breakage. First is to use an electric sharpener instead of a handheld sharpener. This will make a huge difference in how often your pencils break. They're still going to break, your wood casings will still split, just not nearly as bad as they would were you using a handheld sharpener. If you have a pencil and you know that the lead has been broken all the way down inside the wood casing, you can melt that lead back together by holding it under a heat lamp or on a heating pad or letting it sit in the sun. You can do a few things like that. You do have out. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of hoping I wouldn't like them because they are an expensive pencil. I get that, and I kind of had the attitude, there's no way these can be worth that money. But at the same time, I was sick of throwing away money on the Prisma pencils that just kept breaking, so I gave it a shot. I ended up loving those pencils so much that I decided it was time to go ahead and give the entire set a try. These Luminance pencils are not carried in any of the low.
So this is a really cool thing. She's talking about how the product, has a little bit of a defect in the sense that the pencil lead inside, because it's colored, it sometimes breaks. And she's talking about using a electric sharpener is going to be better than a mechanical sharpener because you're not as aggressive when you just stick it in a hole versus you're kind of grinding it yourself. And she also comes up with a solution, how to just melt the lead by leaving it in the sun or kind of under a heat lamp, which I had never heard of, so that's a really cool idea.
Hi, I'm Lisa, the artist behind Lachri Fine Art. I've had quite a few of you requesting a tutorial on how to draw bubbles and water droplets. So today, that's what we're gonna do. This tutorial is being done on a Frederick's Value Series Cut Edge canvas panel. These are very flimsy, they're not the non-warping canvas panel.
So this version's, it's obviously a little bit older. It's from 2014, so she probably changed it up how she do a product review nowadays. But she has all her branding on top of the video, Lachri Fine Art, new art videos 4 days a week, all her where to follow her. She has a talking headshot, plus she has the product, so it's a really solid video with great marketing. You don't not know it's Lisa Lachri. Standing wise for branding, she's very strong, I would say. I don't know if I would have this bold title across the front. I would have maybe a little one. I just use the subscribe button in mine. I mean, it's kind of a personal taste issue. I might have it at the beginning, but not all the way through. It's a little bit over the top, I would say, but it does make for great branding.
But if you were doing it in oil, you would do it exactly the same way. For those of you who work in graphite and colored pencil, the light and the dark areas would be the same, but I will be doing a tutorial in those mediums for you guys as well. I have new...
So you can kind of tell this is a paid sponsorship, obviously by Frederick. So, as she's a really good painter, all these products have reached out to her, or she's reached out to them, I'm not sure. And so she, shows you how to use her product, which is fine. But yeah, let's see where she goes from here. Let's skip over the product part.
When I'm working in acrylics, the paint dries very quickly. When this happens, I just add a touch more water to my clean brush that I'm smudging with so that the paint on my canvas blends together better. If I were to do this in oil paint, I would just be mixing my mixing medium, liquid in my case, instead of the water. For water bubbles, you want them to stagger up. Don't place them in straight lines. Next, I switched to white paint. With the liner brush, I'm lining the underside of the bubbles and smudging the inside up towards the black. Again, make sure to let your background color
So this is a
show
really
through.
easy. So she's talking you actually do this technique in acrylic and oil and pencil, and there's a little bit subtle variation, but basically it's a very similar procedure, which is really great because you could be like, oh, I watched this and it's acrylic, but I really like pencil. You're like, oh, there's a pencil one. So she'll end up watching 2 videos or 3 videos. So this is a great way to kind of, you know, from a YouTuber standpoint, to really kind of stack your videos, is talk about other videos that you do have, so you can kind of continue that people watching and increasing your view count as a YouTuber. So let's see if she actually shows the techniques. Okay, here's the techniques. She's got a detail shot. So this is a really easy process. You got the black on the top, a white on the bottom. You kind of smudge it, and then it's got this see-through effect, so it looks like water bottle standing on there. So yeah, I think that's a really good, pretty good video. You know, just a really easy thing, kind of a detail section on how you paint bubbles. Let's go on to another video she does.
This is the first in a series of owl paintings that I'm working on. This is an oil over acrylic on canvas. The music that you'll hear playing in the background is me on violin.
So you can see here she's just doing a nice fast time lapse. There's a little bit of music. She hasn't done a voiceover. I would probably do this with voiceover ideally. I don't do voiceover in mine, but the best painting tutorials usually have voiceover on top. So this could be improved of, you know, talking about how you kind of came about some of the choices. The time lapse is extremely fast. I think I would edit it. In my version, what I do is I edit the cuts between different things and take out all of the off-screen stuff. And but yeah, she's making this blurry background, which is kind of like photographic. I don't know why you follow the thing of the photo. It obviously looks cool in a photo, but you don't necessarily need to copy everything for a photo when you're painting. But that's just my take on it. You should interpret it more. But yeah, you can see she has really great technique. Start off really small and just kind of fill in the paint details as she goes along, and then kind of slowly layers and layers and layers. And she's doing the base layers all in acrylic, which allows you to coat the canvas very fast and it dries fast. And then you can do a lot of fine details in oil, which allows you a lot better blending. Let's see if she has any talking points. And this is an earlier video. It's from 2013, so quite a ways back, 7 years ago. Probably not the best choice because I think nowadays she does add a lot more voiceover to this. But you can see even back then she just has a high level of realism, detail, great stuff. And here she's adding more into the background. So let's see if she actually talks in the end. Nope. No talking, just pure time lapse. So that's it's extremely popular, but I think she does it a little bit different nowadays. Let's see if we can find more.
Looks like we are live. I've been sitting here for about the last 5-10 minutes trying to figure out what I forgot. I'm sure that will become apparent shortly. I have no idea what it is yet. I'm going to wait before we really get started to make sure that audio is coming through.
So here she's doing kind of a live.
Weird, and this is one of the times as an artist, your artistic skills are going to come in that you may choose if someone's having you do a photo. Like people will ask, well, what's the point of photorealism if you already have a photo? Well, sometimes the photo's like this, and there's something that you may want to adjust to improve on it. And this is one of those times for me. One is that I didn't like the positioning of the leg, so I'm going to move that leg in front and his hind leg back. You're not even going to see that. The other thing that I'm not in love with on this, typically when you're doing portraits of animals or people, don't just barely cut off the feet. So this guy's sitting, it looks like he's in a little cat bed or a blanket, I'm not sure which, but the way that it's cropped, this line here is where that photo is cropped and it cuts off his feet completely.
So this is a really good example of how you should really interpret as an artist. Take a photo, you want to use it as a reference photo, that's fine, but always reinterpret the photo. It doesn't always have the best composition. And so she's talking about, you know, bring out the cat feet, don't have them covered, readjust the footing, maybe change some background colors. So this is a really excellent idea. You can use it as a reference for the color matching and stuff, but you definitely want to change stuff up so that you get a better painting overall. Don't stick to just the photo. So this is some really great advice. Let's go a little bit further here.
Nina said, adding a moon messes up the lighting. Just call it surrealistic or say there was a mirror of cam.
So this is great because she's doing a live video. You can actually have the conversation going back and forth. It's in real time. It's a huge long video. It's 2 hours. So the engagement on this from, again, the YouTuber standpoint is awesome because they're going to reward you from YouTube sides on the algorithm side because this is 2 hours. You probably have people watch almost all the way through that are really dedicated fans. So the people that don't want to watch 2 hours are probably going to click off immediately, but the people that want to watch it will watch it, and your watch time will just go crazy in the algorithm. So this really increases and ranks you up in YouTube. So she's doing a lot of great techniques in YouTube besides what you see on the screen, so to say. So we'll go further along.
And I used my good camera to get those good photos for them because they were just kind of taking like cell phone snapshots, and they weren't as appealing as what those dogs really look like. So I go now and take it with the good camera for them. And once a month, once every other month, they'll have new dogs that need photos.
So she's talking about, if you want to get dog shots, probably it's better just to shoot it yourself if you're going to do a commissioned portrait. I would totally agree with this. Get good at photography on your own. A lot of times they're going to give you really bad photos. They're going to be overly dark, overly bright, out of focus. And you're just not going to get the animal expression that you would have if you go and shoot the site, have them play around, and you can get a way better shots if you just shoot it yourself. Professional camera, you can get the right lens. You don't have to go over the top. You can probably get away with maybe a $300 camera if it's just digital, just not video camera. I would just get a combination camera myself. I use this for videoing, obviously, and photography. So it's an all-in-one thing, but you can just get a photography only camera, and those are really cheap nowadays because a lot of the newer cameras do have video and photos. So if you just get the photo only, you can get 3-4 years old, it's fine. Or just a simplified version, it doesn't have to be 4K, it can just be 1080, for example, in the quality. Let's go further along.
We'll get all of our detail. That's always the fun time for me.
And you can see also,
I love when you get to start making, those are some
she has her
eyes.
logo for
Halloween eyes.
She has her logo for how to paint. So she has her paint course inside of Patreon. So a lot of artists will start on YouTube. They'll kind of do really fast ones or maybe just a few clips here and there. And then the real course is inside. So she's trying to give you samples of her work, but pull you inside the Patreon account so you can give that 1 to 3 to 5 or whatever per month. And it's a really great venue for artists. So this is a really great YouTuber experience, and then pull them into Patreon. I tried that. I've not been successful. I'm probably doing my Patreon account all wrong or something, but Lachri has this really great feel for how to produce this. Let's go and check out another video if she has another one.
Hi, I'm Lisa, the artist behind Lachri Fine Art. It is Tuesday, so I'm here to critique one of your original paintings or drawings. If you have an original painting or drawing.
So in this case, she's doing art critiques of followers of her work. She has this great intro where you kind of have what she does as an artist, so that's really strong.
You may want to head over to one of our pages over at Google, or is why bother? Why not take a photo? This is an example of why to bother. Look at the reference photo and then look at her artwork, and oh my gosh, talk about improvement.
So this is really smart. In the very, very beginning, she's showing what her painting schedule is, her drawing schedules, demos. She does Q&A, she does artist vlogs, and then you can submit your art. She is committing to a schedule, which is really smart. The only thing is then you have to commit to that schedule, so it doesn't allow for flexibility. I don't commit to a schedule. I try to produce 3 to 5 videos a week. Sometimes I only do 1. You can just get away with 1 a week, it's fine. But if you do this schedule thing, you're really locked in, so it really sucks for vacation because then you have to kind of double, triple work and then schedule them all out, which you can do. But yeah, I'm not sure if I agree with that approach. You definitely get more people to watch your videos and rank up the views, but then you're really making it more like a job. She is reaching a huge audience, so I guess it works. I'm trying to do the same thing, obviously, as YouTubing as well. Again, she has all the beginnings of when her video critiques are, so let's go further along here.
moving on a reference photo. This is incredible. The detail, the eyes, the shading, the lighting. Notice how the whites in this aren't just solid white everywhere. You've got all of the shading and all of these different values, and this is so well done. So taking a look.
Yeah, so you can see how she's, the artist has really copied basically the photo. She's changed it up a little bit, but she has this nice kind of neutral background that makes the dog really pop because it has brown versus the blacks. And as the black to the black. So it really pops versus obviously this sidewalk would be terrible. So let's hear a little more.
Look at a few things we can adjust to improve on this even more. The first thing that really stands out to me is that the back end of the dog just blends in with his head. There's no variation in your values there. So if you just add some extra shading on the back end, even though, yeah, in the reference photo there isn't shading there, you've copied it very accurately, but it doesn't work in the painting because it looks like the head is just kind of extended even further up. So if you just add.
So yeah, she's improved it a lot. There's more shading and subtleties in this artwork compared to the photo. The photo obviously has, it's obviously an overexposed, really harsh lighting. It's kind of maybe at 12 o'clock noon. So it's not a really good photo to use from. You obviously want closer to sunrise, sunset, which is called golden hour. Those are your best times to shoot. The sun is very soft and warm light. That's the best light to shoot in. So this photo in a way is kind of crappy. It does show the expression of the face, so you get a feel for that. But yeah, the artists interpret that. I don't know if I would just go with a neutral background per se. You don't want it to, you want it to stand out from the dog, but I don't know if I would just go with this a black neutral background like that. But that's very similar to how Lisa paints too. So yeah, this is, important part is when you interpret from a photo, it's realistic, but because of that harsh lighting on the dog, like I was mentioning earlier, it's at 12 o'clock noon. A lot of those shades kind of blend, and so you do want to kind of separate the planes within the painting to give that a better feel of the distance. It's not realistic because in sense the photo is realistic, right? But the better look is what she's talking about, where you add a little bit of shading off that backside and really define that. You can also see this a lot in landscape. You'll see them kind of layer in different layers as you go along, and all those layers make it feel further back. Versus if you just have that same color all the way forward, you're like, maybe that's what it looks like in the photo, but it's totally crappy. So you always want to, especially like with the landscape as well, you want to kind of have those varied landscapes with a lot of different texture and colors, and that'll really help you lead the eye through there, as well as other elements like leading lines, S-curves, and kind of following the golden ratio. So let's see, I don't know if she does landscape. Let me see if she does. Let's see if she does it all. Okay, so here she's doing a live. Let's see, we'll skip ahead a little bit.
Fairly quickly because I need to get that upper section to be lighter as quick as possible. So I'm just kind of going every which direction. I'm going to blend out these brush strokes later. I want to just slap that paint on there.
Working on, so let me get my
So
brushes
she's just
set
laying in
up,
the
and I'm gonna
background
get started,
for
and then I'll
painting a
answer some
manatee
questions
on a
about
very small
the
canvas,
reference
so I
photo
think it's just so
easy.
she can paint faster.
Gypsy Heart said, out of all the pigment marker pieces you have made so far, have you run out of any of your colors yet? I just bought a full set of them and curious how long they will last. Nope, I've not run out of anything yet with those. They seem to last a pretty long time, at least on the Yupo. I would have to paint him white first and then yellow. But if I painted him white, then I lost all of those details inside. So what I could do is paint him white, let it dry, paint it yellow, take my tracing paper, put it back over, and redraw in the details on top of that. Like, this really is just such a time saver, and it keeps your work so nice and clean. And I'll probably do that here to get his eye in the right place. I don't want to sit there and make sure it's perfect. So I already took the time to draw it out. Why would I do it again? So there is our guy. You can see how he's...
So this is a really cool technique of, if you have multiple things, she has the sea and then she has the manatee. And so she's drawn the manatee sketched, and then she's just using tracing paper to kind of trace onto the painting, so you don't have to kind of feel for it out and then lose all the details of the water shading that are very close to the body. You don't want to have to repaint those. It's a real paint as it doesn't look good. So if you get the shape exactly right, stay within those lines, you can really have, you can keep all the background and then kind of add the water kind of flow across the body. This is a really smart time-saving element that she's talking about.
to show and actually desirable in many cases. Okay, I'm gonna rinse that. Thank you.
So let's go a little further.
Let's see, can I do a turtle? Heather said, can I draw these in? I usually just freehand these, but I want to draw it so that you guys can see.
she's
like
just slowly
little
building up
those
the
wrinkles.
background with those really thick marks, and then she kind of gets finer
Pages,
detail.
they're 14. They're not huge. I mean, big enough for them, but that I want to use an airbrush is going to give me the results I want. So I'm going to airbrush the rays of light. If you do not have an airbrush, what I would recommend doing is taking transparent mixing white, and I'm going to paint it on this. And the reason that I'm not doing that is I can sell this. This is actually came out really nice, and if I'm going to sell it, I'm going to use an airbrush and make it even better. But let me show you what.
So yeah, there's two different techniques she's talking about here. I just use acrylic mixed with gloss, and you can kind of give those light rays through there. I don't know if it'll work as well as what she's talking about. She's using a spray, I can't think of the name, air gun, whatever.
What you would do, you would take water and some transparent mixing white, and you can make your rays of light, just kind of wash those down. If you want rays of light, you do not have to include rays of light. They're not even showing up. That's too transparent. Let's throw a little titanium white just so you can see what I'm doing. But you can kind of lightly come through and get those rays of light in there with your brush. And transparent mixing white usually is a little easier to control, but that's pretty much what you would do if you're going to paint it. For me, this brush is one of the Liquitex. It's a Liquitex Freestyle. It's kind of a nice brush too. I kind of like these.
It looks pretty nice.
Stiff than they are. Pretty sure you are.
So yeah, you can see she's really highly accomplished. Sea life is what she does really well as well. She's done a lot of turtles, sea life. So she paints a lot of animals, a lot of portraits. Not so much the pure landscape. She always likes to paint animals with them. I think it is way more challenging, so it's a really good, if you get up to that level, you're going to sell more for more money, so to say. So that's what I would say. So she has a lot of good tutorials, talking product values, and obviously she does a lot of product reviews. You know, they're kind of a little marketing bit, but you know, if someone sends you a free product and then you just have to paint with it and test it out, why not? As an artist, it's fine because you're going to get free materials, right? And as long as you're honest, I think it's legit to do. If you do it all the time, you'll see that sometimes with van lifers, they'll go on all these crazy products that have nothing to do with their van life. You're like, what are you doing, right? So she's making very consistent products that only have to do with an art business, you know, paintings, canvas material, pencils, paints. So that's fine, I think, and to add that in there is great because then you can, as an artist, you want to know if you want to buy those product or not. And then if you just say that you're sponsored, then, you know, it's an honest thing. You can say, well, it may or may not be exactly as cool as she says it is. But yeah, she has really great painting techniques. She has live videos now, mostly live. I don't think she's doing much time lapses anymore, just because she has probably enough of the basis, and the live just gets, again, it reaches that watch time factor in YouTube. So yeah, as far as YouTubers, she has a really lot of stuff you can really copy from her model. The branding I was talking about on the thumbnails is great. It's a little bit old school nowadays. Not many artists do it. I do it. I think it's very strong because when you're sorting through a search, you see mine, it has the ShawNshawN logo. I'll have my face on there, and it's like immediately you know, like, oh, that's ShawNshawN. But if you go and you see Lisa's, you can usually just make up from the Lachri, but sometimes you'll have her face on there as well. So again, strong branding. And a lot of artists don't do this. Just have a picture of their work and you're like, all right, it's a nice painting, but if it's the same as some other artist, you don't know which artist it is. You're not going to remember that artist. So it's, you know, she has a really good thumbnail art, which I think is very important for branding. And it's really rigorous scheduling of, you know, doing her lives and all these stuff, and then also doing a Patreon account. So she probably does a whole bunch more videos in her Patreon account as well as more polished kind of how to paint particular things. So I think she's really got an overall really good sense as a YouTuber artist. I'd recommend her, and hopefully you guys go check out my channel as well, and I'll see you on the next Artist React video. Thanks, guys.